I work in a hospital. Sometimes, when the ICU has room, they'll put overflow patients down there and will float about to take care of them. So about 3 to 4 months ago I went down there, and it was great because I only had to manage about 3 patients when I'm usually having 6 to 7. Then I start hearing a commotion and yelling down the hall. So I run down there to see if the nurses needed help. I get to the room and I see a nurse tech backed against a wall crying, and 3 ICU nurses trying to hold this man down whilst a 4th one gives him Ativan. Apparently, he was withdrawing really badly from both alcohol and narcotics. I listened to him and I realised what he's freaking out about. He's trying to sit up and scoot back and he's screaming,
"My legs! Let go of my legs, you're burning me! Guys, it's trying to pull me off the bed and it's burning me!"
His legs were in soft restraints and the nurses were by his feet, trying to check what was wrong with them, but she wasn't pulling on him at all. But even when she wasn't touching his feet, he was screaming at someone to let go because they were burning him. He died within about an hour and a half of that. I don't know, but it scared me so bad that I thought I was going to puke for the rest of the night. I had a patient with cirrhosis related to a fatty liver. I counselled him prior to his weight loss, and he didn't heed my advice. Consequently, he developed diabetes and then developed a terrible, non-healing ulcer on his leg, and then the other leg. Both soon spread to gangrene, and he was admitted to the hospital for bilateral leg amputations. He only said one thing to me after he woke up after the operation.
"Doctor, good news! I've lost a bit of weight."
He died a few hours later, and I miss him very much. I've been a firefighter for a few years now. In my first year, my partner and I got dispatched to a fall. 2 kids fresh out of high school were hiking and decided to climb a rock face. One of them fell and was impaled by the stump of a tree. I remember getting to where he was and his whole body was trembling uncontrollably. I went to work trying to stop the bleeding as a pool of blood had already formed around the stump, whilst my partner called dispatch to get a heli evac. This kid looked at me and was just stuttering out, "Am I gonna die?" I told him I was doing everything I could and that we needed to just keep talking. He didn't say anything for about 30 seconds after that, and when he did finally say something it was, "I don't want to die." This was a kid within a year or 2 of my age, and he was depending on me and my partner to keep him alive. That was the moment where I was wondering, what the hell am I doing in this profession, and if this is something I wanted to keep on doing. The kid didn't make it. Heli evac wasn't available, and even if it was, he would have bled out before it arrived. I ended up in counselling after the call, but I'm still here doing the same job, and I love it. I worked as a food delivery person in a hospital when I was younger. I mainly worked on the floor that was a nursing home for older patients. One day I took a tray into a room and asked the woman if I should leave it on her tray or if she was going to get up and go to her table. She told me not to bother because she wouldn't be needing food anymore. I was required to leave it, so I just said okay and left it on her table. I went back an hour later to pick up the trays, and her room was empty. She had just passed away. I'll never forget that. I work at a business that designs and manufactures coffins, so not directly around death, but pretty damn close. There are times that we receive special requests from the deceased's family to engrave messages or even images on the coffin. The most common by far is the birth date and death date, the dead person's name, and we even get requests to engrave their face onto the coffin. But about 5 years ago, I got a call from someone who had recently ordered a generic wooden coffin. And it doesn't matter how many of these calls I've had to take over the years. It's depressing every single time I have to listen to someone talk about their dead loved one. This woman was almost in tears from the second I picked up the phone, and I was certainly in tears by the end of it. She told me the story of her father who had flown Boeing planes throughout the Vietnam War and had gone to be a commercial pilot for Pan Am, flying airplanes for his entire life. Finally, she told me about how her father had been hit by a sudden heart attack at the age of 74 after being as healthy as a horse for his entire life. While laying on a hospital bed, almost waiting to die, he looked out the window to his right and whispered what turned out to be his last words.
"Looks like a beautiful night to fly."
The woman asked me to engrave those words on his coffin, and I cried for a while after that one. I worked in emergency services for 10 years. So there was this one guy who was dying of cancer and kept saying that he needed to just go. "I gotta go," and he kept trying to pull himself out of bed. Finally, he stopped struggling and looked straight ahead at nothing and said his late wife's name and then passed away. Whether or not he did see his wife or it was just a trick of the mind doesn't matter. What really did matter were his last thoughts, that he was actually going to be with her. Hey guys, it's Mort here, and thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed today's stories, even though death is always quite uncomfortable. I know I keep saying this, but I am still working on the Skinwalker video. I really want to make it something special for you guys, and I'm hoping to hit 2,000 subs by the time of its release, which would be incredible, by the way. And thank you guys for all your support. It really does mean the world to me. Please remember to smash that like button, subscribe, and if you want, you can share this video with a friend, because sharing is caring. Remember, if you have a story that you wish to submit, you can send it over to my email, which can be found in the description below, and you'll have it featured on one of my subscriber specials coming very, very soon. Just remember to say that you give me your consent to use it though. Finally, don't forget to follow me on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook for updates and behind the scenes. But anyway, for now guys, I'm gonna sign off. Stay awesome, and I'll catch you in the next one. Just in time to see their bedroom door open, Bob D was standing in the doorway, clear as day. My uncle jumped up, cursed, and got my aunt's attention immediately, who turned to see who was there as well. As soon as they both made eye contact with Bob,